So now I can figure out where the center of that table is, and I can mark up. And I'm going to get myself a mark on that wall at the proper measurement. You remember what it is? I know I got a shadow up there. You're just going to have to bear with me. We don't have much light in here. But I found out where the center was, and then I don't want to mark anything on here. I've got a mark up here at 58.5. And I've got a little mark on the edge of the table. I've got a level. I'm going to plumb this up from the mark. This is called plumb. When you level up and down. When you level left to right, you can say level or horizontal. This is vertical, and this is called plumb. When somebody says plumb, you know what they'll mean now, right? Okay. That's where the center of the center of the TV, and I'm just going to put C there, is where the center of that bracket's going to go. Okay? Or actually, the bottom edge of that bracket, and that's where the center of the TV. I haven't figured out anything yet. I've got to now locate the studs so I can figure out where to put this bracket. You know? I'm not sure exactly yet, because the stud might be here, it might be there. It could be right there, so I may have to put it over like that, or make a determination, do I put it over here? You know what I mean? So I still have, this is the bottom edge of that, see, like that. All right? So I still got to figure out, do I want it here, there, over here, way over here. So the next step is I've got to locate some studs in the wall. Look at all that light now. That's because it's a drop light. I'm holding it up in my hand and working the camera with the other. Real professional here, huh? Okay, now I'm going to move that table. I can move that table now because I already figured out the center and I've got my mark up on the wall and all that. So now I can get rid of this table. Time to find some studs. There's the center of where we want the TV. And there's the bottom of where that bracket's going to go. I just put a little piece of masking tape here. You probably can't see it very well, but that's all right. I look down here and I see I've got a couple plugs there. And more than likely, there's going to be a stud. Where do you suppose there's going to be a stud? Probably going to be one right there, huh? That's the first thing I'm going to check. And then there's probably another stud right on that edge, I'm guessing. I haven't even measured it out yet. But I kind of think that might be the case. All right? Because 16-inch centers, if I hold my tape, and see this red mark on my tape? On a tape measure, incidentally, every 16 inches you're going to see the number is going to be red. If you didn't remember that, if you've never known that before, now you do. Because lots of times, everything's 16 inch on center, and when framers frame a wall, they pull their tapes every 16 inches and they mark it. Way easier to find those marks that way, okay? If you didn't think of anything and remember anything about this, you just learned how to read a tape measure where your 16-inch centers are, didn't you? Okay, so I got a good idea. There's a stud right there. Hear that? That sounds kind of hollow. And that sounds a little bit higher pitched. Hollow. higher pitch, solid. Higher pitch, solid. That's kind of hollow right in there. High, hollow. See? But I'm still gonna probe around. I'm gonna undo this, and instantly, before I do that, I'm gonna shut the power off here because I'm gonna be working on this plug after a while anyway. So that's one thing I'm gonna do, is locate these studs. Now there's another way you can locate those studs too. You remember? Take your trusty stud finder, and you can check that way too and see if there's studs there, okay? Because the last thing I want to do is get up high on the wall and start marking up the walls and then find out I'm doing it in the wrong space, okay? I don't have to show you how to use this stud finder, do I? You know, I've got some videos on that. And the one thing I would stress on your stud finder, you don't use that very often. So what happens is the battery usually goes dead after a while. And if you got a bum battery like I do right now, see, it's not coming on. And every once in a while, okay, now I got it to work. And I know there's a stud right in there. But I've got to clear it and go this way. And see, it's not really working properly. There it goes. It's not working all the way because the battery's not a fresh battery. So if you ever have a problem with that on your stud finder, make sure you put in a new battery, because the last thing you want is for you to think that there's a stud in a certain point on a wall and then mark that stud, or think that, okay, I've got a blank wall cavity, so I'm going to cut in a light switch there, and you cut in, son of a gun, there's a stud right in your way because your stud finder didn't really find it properly because the battery was low. Okay, that's one important thing you've got to remember about a stud finder. Now the good thing about this wall bracket is when I put this up there, I can hide some mistakes. If I think the stud is right there and I poked a hole in there and oh, it's over here a little bit, well, I may have to slide this over a little bit, but I've got a lot more leeway to find the stud here if I'm measuring and trying to find the stud in this location behind this bracket, because if I make a mistake, this bracket's going to cover it up, right? But if you have a small TV with just one bracket assembly that just gets bolted to one stud, you got to be on. So before I go any further, I've got to turn the power off because I want to double check to see where these studs are. Got my little wire tester here, and I know this power's on. And I look at that, move this around a little bit, and I got an orange light here, okay? Sometimes if you put this in, like right there, I got it pushed in, nothing happens. If I just move this around a little bit, then the light will go on. Okay, so make sure, if you ever use a tester and you put it in the first time and nothing's happening, wiggle it around a little bit because you want to make sure that you get the right circuit breaker when you want to shut this power off.